Episode 16, Into the Teeth of the Forest. When old Luong finally came back inside at past midnight, Master Luong heard nothing but a heavy sigh before the old man lay down on the wooden counter and fell asleep. Early the next morning, before full dawn, the scrape of the door and the familiar squeak of the jam woke both Master Luong and Tuok at once. Old Jen, seeing his guests stirring, waved his hands apologetically. "That's enough. It's still early. Go back to sleep. The door must have woken you." Master Luong replied, "I've slept enough. Getting up early to breathe mountain air is good for the body. We may stay another day or two, and while we're here, please don't treat us as guests. Give us whatever work needs doing. It would ease my conscience." Old Zheng smiled. "Even if you stayed a year, I wouldn't ask you to work. Don't be shy." Outside, the sky was still hazy, but the air was clean and wide, carrying the scent of forest and mountain and damp earth, enough to lighten the chest just by breathing. Tuok went to the back to wash and found the water jar nearly empty. Spotting 2 wooden barrel crates stacked nearby, he picked up the carrying pole and crates and came to the front. "We're out of water. Where do I go to fetch some? Just point me in the right direction." Old Zhong waved him off. "No need. I'll go myself later. Just tell me. I want to move around a little. You must usually go to the forest edge for water, yes?" Old Zheng shook his head. "Not anymore. There's a water source right in the village now. Much easier. If you want to go, follow the road down from my house. At the first small turning, go in a little further, and you'll reach it. Simple enough." The Tuok set off with the wooden barrels and bamboo pole. That left Master Luong and old Zhong alone. Master Luong said, "You had trouble sleeping last night. It was past midnight when you came back inside." Old Zhong replied, "That's just old man for you. It wasn't anything. Maybe the noise I made kept you awake." Knowing old Zhong wanted to deflect, Master Luong didn't push. About 30 minutes later, Tuok returned. The moment a figure appeared outside the gate, old Zhong was in his feet and moving quickly to look. He caught sight of Tuok, exhaled, and visibly settled before going to take one of the heavy barrels. The observation was not lost on Master Luong. Once Tuok sat down to wipe his sweat, he told Master Luong, "The water source here is really something, Master. Crystal clear, cold, and they've even built a small tank around it." While Tuok spoke, old Zhong's eyes were still drifting toward the lane leading down from the house. Master Luong said, "It looks like he's waiting for someone." Old Zheng startled. No, I'm not waiting for anyone." Master Luong replied, "From last night until this morning, you've been restless. Your eyes keep going to the door. When you saw movement just now, you rushed out thinking it was someone else, but it was only Tuok, and you weren't relieved so much as disappointed. Perhaps we're overstaying our welcome, and our being here has complicated something for you. If that's the case, we can leave right now." Old Zhong saw that Master Luong was speaking with complete sincerity. He had guessed correctly, all of it, and old Zhong himself didn't quite know how to put it into words. He said quickly, "That's not it. You've misunderstood me. The moment I met you two, especially after hearing Mr. Tuok's story, I intended to bring you home to meet someone, but I'm not certain when that person will return or whether he will at all. That's why I didn't say anything." Master Luong continued, "The person you're waiting for, is he also looking for something in the forest? In the forest around U-Boat Peak. Old Zhong stared at him. How could you possibly know that? Before Master Luong could answer, a figure appeared beyond the gate. Old Zhong's face split into a grin. He's back. Zhang is back. The person walking through the gate was Bao, returned from the forest after 4 days, the longest he had ever stayed out. That was precisely why old Zhang had spent the night wakeful and anxious. Bao's feet were bleeding. Several wounds on his legs had been bound with chewed forest leaves. He was carrying his backpack with the weary economy of a man who has used up every reserve. Seeing two strangers, Bao stopped, as in his eyes were cautious. Who are they? Old Zhang replied. They couldn't find a place to sleep when they arrived yesterday, so I brought them home. They're good people. And there's something you should know. One of them came back from deep inside the forest. He also said he has set foot in the Mist Village. The words hit Bao like a physical blow. His backpack dropped from his shoulder and struck the ground. In an instant, he had crossed the yard and seized Tuak by the shoulders. Who? Which one of you went to the Mist Village? Was it you? You? Does that village actually exist? Old Zhang pulled Bao back firmly. Calm down, you're frightening them. Tuak looked at Bao's face and found something familiar in it. The same flame, the same barely contained urgency he had once seen in Kuong. He said, "It was me. I came back from the Mist Village. You're looking for it too, aren't you?" Tears welled suddenly in Bao's eyes. He nodded hard, jaw working without words. He did not know yet whether Tuak was telling the truth, but for the first time in over a year, someone had looked him in the eye and agreed that the village was real. That was enough. The will that had been guttering in him, worn thin by 12 months of wandering, of coming back alone, of fighting back doubt, flared up again. He wept. Throughout all of this, Master Luong had not spoken. He was watching, looking at Bao's grief and urgency, and something behind the eyes that was harder to name. Regret, perhaps, or the long accumulation of guilt. Everything was still unclear. But Master Luong could feel it. Old Zhang said, "It's good to be home. Whatever's wrong, let's go inside and talk." When they had all settled around the fire and some semblance of calm had returned, Bao asked Tuak again, "Have you truly set foot in that village? I swear on my life to heaven and earth. If I'm lying, let me die on the spot." "Then where is it? Can you show me the way?" Tuak shook his head. "I didn't find it deliberately. When I escaped, I wasn't conscious. I don't know the route. And if you've ever been into that forest, you already know that something is wrong inside it. There is no reliable direction. The terrain seems to change. I couldn't navigate back even if I tried." Bao's eyes lit up. Yes, that's exactly it. That's also why I've been circling the same areas for a year. Deeper I go, the more everything dissolves into something like a shifting maze. I can explain why the compass doesn't work. The geological layers around U-Boat Peak have unusual magnetic field fluctuations that get stronger the deeper you go. That explains broken instruments. But the markers I leave on the path, the cut branches, the tie cloth, when I come back to follow them, they're gone, as if someone moved them, that I cannot explain with anything I know. Bao also admitted that he had found gold in a stream bed after Tuak mentioned it. Master Luong then said, "Wait, I've noticed a coincidence running through both of your stories. Let me ask a few things. Everyone fell silent. Tuok asked, "What is it, Master?" Master Luong replied, "When we were at Mr. Mung's house, you said the first time your group found gold was in a stream. Is that right?" Tuok nodded. Bao said, "That's correct for me as well. I found the gold in a stream bed. Is that the coincidence you're pointing to? That Tuok and I both found gold in the same stream?" Master Luong shook his head. "I don't say that, though it's possible. The forest is large and streams flow in every direction, so the probability is not great, but that detail is only one coincidence. There's another thing I've been turning over." Tuok asked, "What is it?" Master Luong continued, "At Mr. Monk's house, you said that when your group stopped to rest, Kuong went to the stream alone, while the rest of you rested under a very large tree. You also said that tree was so enormous, all 5 of you could sit comfortably in the shade, and that it was because of its exceptional size that it stuck in your memory. Is that right?" Tuok nodded. Earlier in the conversation, Bao had also mentioned ancient trees. Trees unlike anything outside the forest's edge, which he had encountered when he ventured deeper in. Bao swallowed. "I also saw a large old tree. Could it be?" Master Luong said, "Are you certain?" Bao stood and went to his backpack. He sorted through his papers and brought out a photograph, one he had taken himself to help draw his topographic maps. "Here, I photograph every notable location I visit. This is the old tree I mentioned. It was indeed enormous, unmistakable among the surrounding forest." Tuok held the photo and examined it closely. Master Luong asked, "Is this where you and your friends rested?" Tuok shook his head. "No, the tree is large, but it's not the one I saw. The terrain in this photo is also flatter. Where we rested, there were boulders scattered among the roots. Even so, it feels familiar. Everything deep in that forest looks the same." Master Luong studied the photograph. The image was dim, poorly lit, but what he needed to see was there. He muttered quietly, "Ancient trees, stream beds, gold. These things don't naturally gather in one place." He looked at Tuok. "When you rested under that old tree, did your group light a fire?" "Yes. We found some wild tubers and greens. We stopped to grill them and fill our stomachs before moving on." He turned to Bao and asked the same question. Bao replied, "I use fire as well, not for cooking, but for necessity. While I was resting at the base of that tree, I had a wound on my calf. It wasn't deep, but the walking kept it bleeding. I couldn't find leaves to stanch it, so I heated my forest knife in the fire and used it to cauterize the wound before tearing off my shirt for a bandage." Old Jin confirmed this with a short exhale. The injury gave him jungle fever the next day. I kept telling him he was reckless. Master Luong smiled faintly. He had found something. He nodded. "So that is how it is. Though the 2 locations you each visited are not the same, both are arranged according to a principle called the 5 elements." Old Zhen asked, "What are the 5 elements?" Master Luong replied, his voice calm and deliberate. "In ancient Chinese philosophy, all things in existence arise from heaven and take form through 5 fundamental states, which are called the 5 elements, or Wu Xing. The 5 are metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. They're not simply materials, but relationships, cycles of generation and suppression that govern all of nature." He paused, then continued, "What Zam deducing from your 2 stories? is that the locations where both of you stopped are arranged so as to embody a complete set of these 5 elements. The ancient tree is wood, the stream is water, the gold you found is metal, the fire you each built is fire, and earth, well, you're standing on it. All 5 elements present in one place. And here is the key detail. Gold only manifests clearly when fire, the 5th element, is added to complete the set. This is why some people enter that forest and walk out with gold in their hands, while others search their whole lives and never see so much as a fleck. It depends on whether a person happens, by chance or design, to complete the set. Tuwak said, "But why would anyone arrange the 5 elements in those places? What is the purpose?" Master Luong replied, "We don't know the purpose with certainty, but nothing in nature arranges itself according to such a principle. Someone placed those elements there deliberately. It may be a formation, it may be a lure, using gold to draw people in." Tuwak said, "If it's a lure, why not just scatter gold on the ground? Why go to such trouble?" Bao said, "If gold were everywhere, it would be found too easily. People become complacent about things that come without effort. But what if out of 100 people searching, only one finds gold? Competition becomes enormous, and the gold that was found by a real person who actually held it in his hands, becomes proof that more is out there." Old Zhong completed the thought. "And so it draws more greedy souls into the forest." Master Luong sighed. "Exactly. Whether it is a formation or simply a mechanism of bait, whoever arranged these things is concealing something far more terrible. No one naturally sets a formation of this magnitude in a forest, and gold does not naturally blind people so thoroughly that they walk willingly toward death. Tuok, do you remember what I said about Mochok?" Tuok said slowly, "He is the most poisonous, the most loathsome kind of shaman." Master Luong replied, "That is what I said before, but now I know more. In addition to being poisonous and loathsome, he is genuinely terrifying. You're right, he is a demon." While the conversation paused, Bao's stomach let out a loud, disgraced rumble. His face reddened immediately. He clutched his middle and looked at the floor, while everyone else tried not to laugh. Old Zhang shook his head with a sigh. "You're starving, aren't you?" The food he packed was only good for 3 days, and by the look of him, he hasn't eaten since last night. "Let me cook something, and go wash your face and change out of those stinking clothes first." Master Luong said, "We bought provisions yesterday. Let me have Thuok fetch them." Bao excused himself to the back of the house to wash and change. Thuok went to help old Zhang with vegetables and rice. The house filled with noise and warmth. Conversation earlier had done its work. The distance between strangers had partly dissolved. Old Zhang confessed that from the moment he had heard the story at dinner, he had been hoping to introduce Master Luong and Tuok to Bao, but because he didn't know when or whether Bao would return, he had been unable to say so directly. He had not expected Master Luong to see through him so completely. When Tuok asked later how Master Luong had known old Qing wasn't living alone, and how he had known even before they entered the gate, Master Luong explained, "It's simply a matter of paying attention. As soon as we crossed into the yard, I saw a set of clothes on the clothesline along the side of the house. They were too small for old Zhong's body, and old Zhong himself wears a loincloth, not a shirt. Inside the house, next to where old Chong slept, there were unusual tools that didn't belong to him. From that, I guess someone else was staying here. Old Chong's behavior this morning confirmed it. But actually, I already had the impression before we walked through the gate. Tuak stared. He knew before we even went inside. Oh, Master Luong smiled faintly. Old Zheng told me. On the walk to his house, he said he had no wife and no children, which naturally suggested he lived alone. But then, inside the gate, he said, I'm the only one here right now. Those two sentences have the same general meaning, but that second one has something in it. Right now, a small word that leaves a door open. That door told me what I needed to know. And then, during dinner, his interest in Mr. Tuak's story about the Mist Village told me the rest. Whatever he was hiding was connected to the same place. After Bao had washed and changed, he returned and the effect was striking. The heavy beard was gone. His long hair, clean and loose, framed a face that was lean and sun-dark, and in some quiet way, handsome. Tuok exclaimed, I can't believe you're the same person who walked in 10 minutes ago. Old Zhong said, no wonder the girls in the village keep asking me about him. Bao replied, stop teasing. I already have a wife. He went back into the house. Tuok looked at Old Ching. He's married. Then why is he here? Old Ching shook his head. I don't know the whole story. I only know that he came here because of a girl. For the past year, that reason is what has kept him alive. Every day he risks his life for her. Master Luong said, you care for him the way a father cares for a son. Old Shang was quiet for a moment, then replied, something like that. The people here are also grateful to him. Before he came, there was a dangerous illness moving through the children in the village. Without him, they likely wouldn't have survived. That water source Tuak used this morning, Bao showed the people how to locate it, dig it out, and build the tank. What he has given to the people here is beyond measure. He is brilliant and he is brave, but he takes risks that make my heart stop. More than once, I thought he was dead. He looked toward the door. When Mr. Tuak said he had returned alive from the Mist Village, from the very same place Bao has been searching for, I thought perhaps these two can help him find it. That may be the only way any of this ends. Inside the house, Bao could hear every word. He had felt it from the moment he first saw them. A dim but insistent pull of familiarity, as if he had known Master Luong and Tuak somewhere before, in some other time. He couldn't explain it, but through the details of Tuak's account and through Master Luong's reading of the 5 elements, Bao had already decided. These two people represent the best chance he had ever had. He bent back over his maps and notes and photographs. Just one photograph had already caught Master Luong's eye in a way that suggested he had noticed something unusual. With a few more details, perhaps the old man would see even more. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, in a cave lit by torchlight, footsteps moved. Servants who waited always at Mochok's side were escorting someone new. In the cave, seated on a strangely shaped stone chair surrounded on all sides by human skulls, some bleached to dull white, some burned pitch black, was Mochok. He lifted one skull from the pile at his feet, turned it in his hands, and smiled at it with his terrible empty grin. One of the 4 servants announced, "Sir, we have brought the person you requested." The person being brought forward walked with a blank face, eyes empty of all emotion, standing as motionless as a tree stump when they stopped. Mo Chok set down the skull and walked toward this person. He studied the vacant face, and he smiled. It's been more than a year since anyone new has come here. It seems the people outside have grown afraid, or perhaps a little smarter. This is truly inconvenient. For the plan that is coming, we need a great quantity of raw material. Fresh blood not yet contaminated by poisonous insects. And you will be the one tasked to bring it to us. He studied the person's face again. What is your name? The person answered in a flat, hollow voice. My name is Kuong. Mo Chok pressed the tip of his fingernail against his index finger until blood welled out. With that blood, he drew symmetrical lines across Kuong's face and said, Kneel. Like an obedient corpse, Kuong sank to his knees. The 4 servants turned their backs in unison and knelt at the 4 points of the compass. Mo Chok returned to the stone chair, produced a wooden bowl containing a liquid the color of a ripe banana, deep green and viscous, placed one hand on Kuong's head, and began to chant. Each time he paused, he dipped his hand into the bowl and scattered the liquid in a wide arc. The 4 servants chanted in unison, Amana Ka, 3 times. Then Mo Chok let more blood from his own finger drip into the bowl, stirred it with his hand, and lowered it before Kuong. Drink. Kuong raised both hands to receive the bowl and drank it in a single swallow. After the last drop disappeared, the lines of blood on his face seemed to slowly seep inward through his skin, and then were gone entirely. Amanaka, Amanaka. The chant echoed through the cave in the voices of the 4 servants, and above it rose Mo Chok's wild, ringing laughter. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Good. Very good. Now go. Once again, let the greed and hunger of those outside be stoked to a blaze. Let the demon hidden deep within each person be awakened. Kuong bowed his head before Mo Chok. I obey, master. At noon the same day, at old Zhong's house. Wasting no time, after eating, everyone gathered again around the fire to talk about the mist village. Bu had spent the past year accumulating everything he could about the forest at the foot of Mount Wubu. Photographs, research notes, geological records, accounts of past events in this hidden landscape. He spread it all out. Old photographs, old maps, aerial images. The subject photographed in them was always the same. The mountains and forests of the Jimbak area, where the Huanglin Sun Range ended at the great peak of Mount Wubu, shrouded in cloud and mist without pause. Bao said, These are all the images I've gathered of the Mount Wubu area. The photographs were taken in 1956, 1960, and 1985. They were taken in connection with the plane crashes at Mount Wubu. He laid the photographs out in sequence. During the French colonial period, French military aircraft that flew over this place disappeared or crashed without explanation. But in those years, planes were being shot down constantly, so each incident was noted and forgotten. It was only when the Americans entered Vietnam that something different happened. During an aerial reconnaissance of the terrain, a U.S. military plane disappeared in the fog over Mount Wubu. The pilot's last transmission was only muffled static, with no preceding sign of attack. This prompted U.S. command to launch an immediate search and investigation. This photograph, taken in 1956, from an altitude of over 3,000 meters, 2 months after the American plane disappeared, shows the full mountain and forest terrain. He tapped the photograph. All search efforts found nothing. The plane appeared to have ceased to exist. The coordinates of the last transmission were followed. A preliminary search was mounted, and nothing was there. No wreckage, not a shard of metal, as if the plane had never been in that sky. Tuok asked, "Then where did it go?" Bao continued, "That's not all. After the plane disappeared, the U.S. military sent a team of 18 people into the forest to search for survivors. Every one of those 18 people also disappeared. Every communication device lost signal. The incident was eventually attributed to North Vietnamese guerrilla fighters operating from the deep forest. The Americans concluded that the plane and the search team were all killed by North Vietnamese soldiers. The Vietnamese side did not accept this explanation, but they had no countering evidence. The Americans tried everything: toxic smoke, bombs, burning of the forest canopy. None of it produced results, nor did they find a single Vietnamese body. These events were classified. They were recorded only in a secret document labeled in English as Ghost Forest. Our geological team came across this document when we proposed surveying the Mount Ubo area for potential uranium deposits. It was pure coincidence that gave us access to it. The project was eventually rejected. The geological layers were inhospitable, and the strangeness inside the forest made it too dangerous to continue. One member of our team almost died on his first day inside the forest. That member was me. Master Luong asked, "The two subsequent crashes in 1960 and 1985, did they also disappear completely like the one in 1956? Bao showed further photographs, close images of wreckage. No, in both later cases, the crash site was outside the forest boundary rather than inside. In 1960, it was an American helicopter. In 1985, a military aircraft carrying Russian experts from northern Laos to Vietnam lost contact and disappeared. The Vietnamese Civil Aviation Department determined that the aircraft vanished over the Bac Yen area. A large-scale search was mounted immediately. Old Zeng continued, "That plane came down at the edge of the forest. I was one of the villagers who helped the officers and soldiers follow the wreckage trail. It took 3 days to find the crash site, and when we got there, everyone on board had been burned to death. No survivors." Bao found the relevant page in his documents. There were 7 people on that flight. 6 burned bodies were recovered. The 7th body was believed to have been dragged away by wild animals. The belongings of the passengers also disappeared, either burned or taken. Both later crashes were less mysterious than the 1956 disappearance, but once again, the territory near Mount Ubu and the perpetually fog-wrapped forest became a subject of intense discussion. No one could explain the cause. It wasn't until the 1990s that researchers settled on the existence of a powerful magnetic field in the Mount Ubu area as the official explanation, strong enough to interfere with aircraft navigation, compounded by the dense fog that never lifts from the mountaintop. From that point, flight paths over the area were permanently banned, while Bao went on analyzing and cataloging scientific explanations. Master Luong was looking at the photographs, the aerial panoramas of the forest and the mountain. 30 years between the 1956 and 1985 photographs, and the terrain had not changed substantially. The forests had only grown denser, more impenetrable. The 1956 photograph, the one taken after American troops had burned the outer portions of the forest, was black and white, but something in it had caught Master Luong's eye and held it. Bao asked, "What is it about that photograph that makes you study it so intently?" Master Luong replied, "This photograph was taken after the Americans burned the forest." Bao nodded. They burned the outer edge. From the air it looked small, but the actual area was considerable. The records say the fire was extinguished by sudden heavy rainfall before it could spread further. Even a ghost forest that destroys everything it touches deserves its trees. Master Luong said, "In this photograph, because part of the forest was burned away, certain features become visible that wouldn't otherwise be hidden. Cross-referencing with the later photographs, the terrain appears unchanged, so we can treat the 1956 map as accurate. In the exposed area, we can identify this and this." He pointed to two features on the scorched section, two streams. Fire burned to the edge of each one and stopped. Looking carefully, and this requires attention, you can see that while these two streams run in different directions, they appear to be related to the central area at Yu Bo Peak in a way that is not random. Bao, Tuok, and Old Zeng all leaned in, wincing at the murky, faded image. Master Luong asked for a piece of paper and a writing tool. Bao's pen was too fine, so Master Luong picked up a piece of charcoal from the kitchen and set it to work. "Let me draw it out so you can all see it." He marked a circle in the center of the paper, Mount Yubu, then the surrounding forest. Then, using the old photograph as reference, he drew two curved lines, one running south, one east, each staggered slightly from the center, higher in one direction, lower in the other. Based on the photograph, these are the flows of the two visible streams. Now, if these two streams follow the logic I think they do, then there should also be a stream to the north of the mountain, running slightly higher than the eastern stream, and one to the west, running higher again, like this. He drew the two additional lines. 4 streams, one in each direction, north, south, east, west, but arranged at inconsistent elevation, so that each overlaps the others in a kind of rotating spiral around the central peak. This creates what is known as the Four Waters Formation. Once inside this formation, a person walks in circles without knowing it. Each stream acts as a gate. The 5 elements are arranged at each gate. The terrain doesn't actually change, but the formation controls every direction inside the forest so that people believe it does. The deeper you go, the more completely the formation traps you, and the harder it becomes to find your way out. Bao stared at the drawing. It looked simple on paper, deceptively so. That simplicity was possible because the paper had no trees, no fog, no shifting magnetic field. But for the first time, something like understanding sailed over him. That was why. A year of wandering in circles, a year of feeling as though the forest were rearranging itself. It hadn't been rearranging itself. He had been inside the trap, and he had never known where the walls were. Bao said slowly, "If this is so, could a human being have actually created something like this?" Master Luong replied, "Whoever created the Four Waters Formation at this scale is no ordinary person. If my reasoning is correct, the village you are both looking for lies somewhere near the foot of Mount Uboi, inside the formation. Finding it is not easy. That military plane vanished without a trace in 1956. And no one has been able to determine its location from the outside in the decades since. The barrier around the formation and around the village was created by Mochok. It cannot be penetrated from the outside simply by going in. What is he hiding behind all this? What is worth this much effort? Bao asked, his voice faltering. Master, Mochuk, why is a witch living out here? Master Luong said, the person I'm describing is Mochuk. He has been responsible for the disappearances and the terror around Mount Ubo for nearly 40 years. No, his presence there is almost certainly much longer than that. I won't hide my purpose from you. I came all this way to find him and to end him. That is the kind of creature he is, disgusting to the bone and deeply, deeply frightening. The Master Luong gave Tuak permission to tell everything, all of it, to the room. Everything that had happened to Tuak's group in the forest, from the beginning of their gold-seeking journey to the killing ground of Mochuk and the Mist Village, the names of the people in the group, their deaths, the wormwood poison, the entity that crawled out of Tua's body while Mochuk watched and chewed it alive with satisfaction. All of it. Tuak told it again, every detail, his voice trembling with the fear and fury that had not dulled in nearly 2 years. Old Zen, hearing the scene of Obuong's killing and the hanging of his body in the tree, the scene of Tua used as a vessel and torn apart, Old Zen went pale and still. Bao got goosebumps just listening. Bao asked, Mochuk, is that terrifying? And yet you escaped, and you said he had poisoned every person in the group with wormwood. Tuak answered, I still can't fully understand it myself. After I witnessed Tua's death, Mochuk didn't kill me immediately. He kept me imprisoned in the wooden house. The fear alone made me want to die, and in the end, I did try. I hanged myself, but just before I lost consciousness, I heard a voice in my head, a woman's voice, telling me not die, telling me she would help me escape. Bao asked, and after that, Tuok replied, when I woke, I was lying in a bed. More than a year had passed. I have no memory of that year. Fragments came back in chaos. Images, sounds, fear, pain, all crashing through my skull at once. Every haunting scene from the forest kept returning, unstoppable. Fortunately, Master Luong found me and brought me back. It was he who broke the poison goo worm's hold on me. Apparently, during that missing year, I was wandering the streets, mad, sleeping in rubbish, being fed by a restaurant owner out of pity, until Master Luong appeared and saved my life. If now, my memories of the forest and the mist village are as vivid as if they happened yesterday. Old Chong exhaled heavily. It's almost impossible to believe. A village so terrifying actually exists in that forest. He paused, then went on. But thinking about it, that explains why, besides Mist Village, some people also call it Devil Village. Master Luong said it's not so hard to believe when you consider that the reason Mr. Tuak was able to escape at all was because of another person, a person who had died, a soul that refused to leave this world because she was still carrying unresolved anguish and longing. That soul entered Tuak while he was near death. She guided him out of the village, and for over a year, her presence inside him was what held the poison goo worm at bay, protected him from within, until I found him. Among all the members of Tuak's group, he alone was carrying the possession of the deceased, and that is why he alone was spared. Out of respect for that girl's soul, and out of a debt that I felt was mine to repay, I decided to help her find peace. Old Zhong asked. The possession of the deceased. Could you explain that more clearly? Tuok stood, went to his backpack, and lifted out a small box wrapped in a layer of white cloth folded with great care. He returned to the fire, sat down, and met the curious eyes of old Xing and Bao with a slight, sad smile. This is the possession of the deceased and the benefactor who saved my life. He unwrapped the cloth and gently lifted the lid. Old Zhong squinted. A necklace. At that moment, Bao lurched backward. He propped himself upright on trembling arms, face drained of color, mouth moving without sound. And his voice came out in a shaken murmur. This is... Tuok asked. What's wrong? What is it? Bo reached out and grabbed the necklace from Tuok's hand. Give it back. Give it back, right now. Bo's sudden roughness shocked Tuok into anger. That necklace was sacred, a relic of a dead person who had saved Tuok's life. He was already rising to his feet when Master Luong and Old Zheng caught his arms and held him. Then all three of them looked toward Bo. Bo was staring at the necklace in his palm. Tears were pouring down his face. He said, his voice broken, This is my necklace. Silence. Master Luong, Tuok, and Old Zheng spoke in unison. Impossible. Bao looked at Tuok, eyes flooded. Where did you get this? Tuok replied, I picked it up inside a wooden stilt house. We were being chased by Mo Chok's people, forced deep into the forest, into a part of the forest that felt completely different. Ancient trees everywhere, enormous. Bao said, in that forest, there's only one house with a wooden floor. Isn't that right? Tuok nodded. Yes, it looked abandoned. Everything inside was green with mold, half rotted. No signs of anyone living there recently. I was sleeping in a corner of the house when I accidentally found the necklace and kept it with me. Is it truly yours? Bao's body crumpled. He sank onto his knees, his long hair falling forward over his face. Muffled, wrenching sobs came from somewhere underneath. Everyone who heard it felt the weight of it. He pressed the necklace against his chest. Swung, are you really dead? His mind resisted it. He refused to accept what was being implied. Bao stood and faced the room. Master Luong, Tuok, Old Zhong, his face fierce now with the effort of denial. No, she couldn't have died. You picked up a necklace. That doesn't prove anything. Tuok, answer me honestly. When you found the necklace, were there bones? Was there a body? Anything like that? Tuok shook his head. No, nothing like that. Bao let out a short, unsteady laugh. There, you see, if Swang had died there, her body would be there. She simply dropped the necklace. She's not dead. She can't be dead. I made her a promise. I said I would come back for her, and she said she would wait. He was shaken as he said it. There is no soul attached to this necklace. I don't believe it. I don't believe any of it. If the necklace is here, it means Swang is still in that village. She's alive, and now I'm going to find her. He opened the door and walked out. Tuok moved to follow, but Master Luong and Old Zing both stopped him. Master Luong said quietly, leave him. Right now, that belief is what keeps him moving. Let it hold him a little longer. Old Zhen looked at Master Luong and asked, is the story you told, the dead girl's soul attached to the necklace, is it true? Master Luong replied, I am an old man who has already chosen to enter a sacred forest and die in its poisoned waters, if that is what it comes to. I did not come all this way to invent a story, and it turns out the necklace was connected to him all along. No wonder. The moment I first saw him, I felt something I couldn't name. It wasn't chance that brought us to old Zhang's house. It was the necklace that led us here. Old Zhang stared out through the open doorway. His voice was low. If that's the truth, then he is truly to be pitied. Finding that girl is the whole reason he's still alive. Even if he refuses to believe she's dead, if he goes back into that forest, he will die. He will never find her again. Master Luong replied, "No, perhaps there is still something he needs to see. That is also the greatest reason why I must go to the Devil Village."